Hey, so welcome everybody. Apparently this Zoom is called When Did You Give Up Choosing? So when did you give up choosing? Oh my God, are you insane? And it's like, and my question would be too, is who did you give up choosing for? So how many of you gave up choice based on somebody else's projections and expectations of you, whether it's your family, it's like your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, it's like, or, you know, the kids at school, and then you decided just to give up choice because you may as well be the same as everybody else. So everywhere that you've decided that being the same as everybody else so that you can try and fit in, and you will never ever fit in, even though you've been trying so hard to fit in for your entire life, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So I have a question. Is there, this is, everyone's done some access, right? Or do we have people who have done no access?
They were only invited officially if they've done bars.
Okay.
But we don't know if there's any rogue people that have crashed this.
If there's any rogue people, good luck. You were courageous anyway. and then you can find out one of the, you know, from one of the local facilitators, etc. So, what next? So, if you're scraping, if you're doing some, you know, tiling or something like that, maybe put yourself on mute. Thank you. So, choice is an interesting thing because I know, you know, growing up in this reality, you know, my parents, it's like my school, everything, you're sort of given this place of these are your choices. And I mean, even the other day I was talking to my son saying, you know, he's 13 and they're talking to him about what he wants to be when he leaves school. I'm like, okay, so have a look at the subjects you want to pick and just know that you can change your mind, okay? Because at school, I know for me, they were like, you need to figure out what it is you're going to do when you grow up. Well, I'm almost 50. What if I still didn't know what I wanted to do when I grow up? You know what? And everything that that is, and everywhere that you are trying to make the ultimate choice rather than actually choose in 10-second increments where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so many of you should know the tool about choosing in 10-second increments, and it's very easy. It's like every 10 seconds, you get another choice. It's how many times do you try and get it right? You try and work it out. It's like you try and figure out, is everyone going to be happy with you? It's like, or are people going to hate you? Is anyone going to like you? It's like all of these conclusions and points of view you have before you actually choose. So I'm now telling you that you have choices in life. And everywhere that it's being projected at you that you do not have choices in life, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what I want you to start doing too is the next time you find yourself even thinking it or saying it out loud, oh, if I only had a choice, stop. And ask another question, because it's like, you know what, if I do have choice, you have choice with everything. I mean, I love the way Gary Douglas said years ago, the only difference between you and a homeless person is choice. It's like they chose to be homeless. You chose not to be homeless. You chose to have money or not have money. You chose to be in a relationship or not be in a relationship. You chose to be born in Colombia or Brazil or Australia or America or wherever it is. You've actually chosen your entire life up to where it is now, and you get to choose your future as well. So what future would you like to create? It's like, what realities are available to you that you have not yet acknowledged? What energies can we tap into to create a different future? So even if you wake up in the morning and pock and pod everything that you were yesterday, everything you decided you were yesterday, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, and ask questions, be in the question. So what future would I actually like to create here? What capacities do I have that I haven't been willing to acknowledge? And how much of your life have you been trying to create a predictable future rather than one that has infinite choice? Like, how many times do you try and create a predictable future with money? And you've already decided what you can't have, rather than, okay, so what's it going to take to create something different, to create something more? I recently doing a Getting Out of Debt Joyfully year-long course, and I was on an A380 Emirates plane in first class, and I took a photo of the bathrooms because the bathrooms are amazing. You can have a shower in there. Like they're huge. They're bigger than most people's, bathrooms in their home. And I took it and put it in the thread because I wanted to create the energy of where something came up for you. So it's like, what comes up for you when you see other people having riches and wealth, or even when you see something that you've decided you cannot have, rather than actually make a different choice. So years ago, I would struggle to buy an economy ticket from Australia to America, or Australia to Costa Rica when we're going to Costa Rica. And it's like now, it's like everything that I've created, I've used the Access Consciousness tools. It's like I've chosen something different, and I've created being out of debt, and I've actually created having money. So there's a different possibility available in every single area of your life. It's like, how many of you create a relationship to have a predictable future? And I'm sorry, relationship is not a predictable future, but you think, oh, I'm with this person, we've got kids, we've bought a house, we've done, X, Y, Z, then I can have a predictable future. What if you stopped looking for a predictable future? You stopped trying to conclude what a predictable future could be, or what you've decided that is the greatest it could be, like the best of this reality, and destroyed and uncreated everything that is, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what future would you like to create? What choices would you like to make? What could you change today? And how many of you are not asking for the possibilities, choosing the possibilities to show up? Instead, how many of you predict disasters? But if I choose this, then you know what, this is going to happen. Oh, they're going to say no to me. Well, if I choose this, then I won't be able to do this. Or if I choose this, so you've already predicted that your choice is going to end in a disaster. Oh my goodness. Okay. The telenovela. So everywhere that you are already predicting that your choices are going to end in disaster, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what if you didn't have to figure out what your choice created? What if you just perceived the energy of what futures are available? So you may have heard the tool before of like, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? What if we started asking, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 1,000 years' time? What will the planet be like? What about 25,000 years? And everything that hasn't allowed you to acknowledge and recognize that your choices create a future far more in advance than just today, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if you never looked for a result, you only chose from the energy? And a lot of in the Choice of Possibilities class, I love that Gary renamed these classes probably, I don't know, a few years ago now. They used to be called level 2 and 3. And then he renamed them Choice of Possibilities, because that is the perfect thing. That's what we discover in 3 days with the manual, etc. It's like choice of possibilities. You have choices in life. So what choices do you have that other people don't have, that if you would choose it, would change your entire reality to ease, joy, and glory? And everything that is times the Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It's like, what choices do you have that you have not been willing to acknowledge? And everything that is times the Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So how many of you don't actually desire, or you've never been given permission to have your own point of view? Like, how many times did you grow up and your mother or your father or your grandmother or your grandfather would tell you what your point of view should be? Oh, our family doesn't do that, or that's not what we do in this country, or that's not what that's not what we do. That's not what you do. Rather than, what's your point of view? What's your point of view around money? What's your point of view around relationships? What's your point of view around bodies? What's your point of view around business? What's your point of view about how you would like to live your life on planet Earth? And have you ever allowed yourself the space to ask those questions and choose? Because that's pretty much what this is about. It's like the next 10 seconds, you have a choice. What are you going to choose? And choose based on the energy. And there's a great tool that I would like to give you. I'm actually doing this at the moment. Is if there's something that you are, like some of those bigger choices in life, it's like something that you are, looking at choosing, you can do the tool of indulging. So at the moment, if you can do 3 days in 3 days, it's great. At the moment, I am looking at choosing some different things with finances. And yesterday, I indulged the entire day in one scenario of choices. So in the whole day, I was like, okay, I'm choosing this. And then this morning I woke up and said, okay, now I'm going to choose something different. And so you indulge in the energy of it, because so many times we get into our head about what we should be choosing, rather than actually, if you indulge in the energy, it can create the place where you have the clarity. Like, for example, many, many years ago, I was living in a house next door that Diva actually ended up moving into, which was funny. But anyway, I was living in this house, and Brendan Watt, who I used to be in a relationship with, he would, stay with me, quite 4 or 5 nights a week. And then we spoke about moving into a house together, and we weren't sure if that was actually what we desired to choose. So we indulged, and Brendan said he indulged for 3 days in moving in with me and what that would be like if we got a bigger house and did all of that. So 3 days of that. And then the next day he started the 3 days of indulging of not moving in. And he was like, oh, that's a no-brainer. You got the energy of what is going to create a greater future. So if you look at any of those bigger choices in your life, because like, when did you give up choosing? Did you give up choosing because you decided it was too hard? There's tools that you can use to create a different possibility showing up. So if you use that tool of indulging, you'll get this clarity of what can show up. And you can also run what energy, space, and consciousness can I be that would allow me to have total clarity and ease with all of this. Because it's not about getting your choice right. It's about choosing so that you create a different possibility. Choice creates awareness. Awareness doesn't create choice. Choice creates awareness. And you're tapping into a different energy. Every single time you choose something, you tap into a different energy. Every single time. I mean, even if you look at it, I don't know, you're driving to work and it's like you drive the same way every day. And then today you go, I'm going to drive a different way. Okay, so you just tapped into a different energy. Maybe you drive past a street and there's a house for sale that you've always wanted. And you're like, great, I'm going to find out about that. So everywhere that you're not willing to tap into a different energy and you've decided that you have to keep choosing everything that you've chosen before so that everything can remain the same, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And how many of you have decided that conclusion is better than choice? And everything that is times the Godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what conclusions have you made that keep you from choosing your awareness that will set you free? Your awareness and your choices that will set you free. And everything that is times the Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what conclusions have you made that keeps you from choosing your awareness and your choices that will set you free? And everything that is times the Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what I'd like you to do is write at least 5 things, right? If you write more, that's great. And write at least 5 things that you've decided that you cannot choose. Okay, like, and I'll give you an example. I mean, in Australia, it's like traveling from Australia to Costa Rica is a long way away, okay? You guys traveling to Costa Rica is a little bit closer. So many years ago, when I had no money, I was $187,000 in debt, and I desired to go to Costa Rica 7-day. And I was like, how the hell am I ever going to afford to do this? Like, it's so far away. The tickets are so expensive, you know, and then I've got to pay for class and, you know, blah, blah, blah. You can hear all those questions, right? Oh, yeah, no questions. It was all about conclusion. So how many of you are really, 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 really good at coming to conclusion and not asking questions? And everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyond. So I want you to write at least 5 things down that you've already decided and you've already concluded that you cannot change, that you cannot have, that you cannot receive. Okay? And for the next week, every single day, I want you to wake up, POC and POD everything that you were yesterday, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Look at the list, like put it somewhere in the bathroom, on a mirror, or, you know, have it as an alarm on your phone, whatever it takes, so that you get to look at that each and every single morning and evening, and look at that list, read through them and go, okay, POC and POD everywhere that I've decided this can never show up. POC and POD, all the conclusions and the limitations I've created, and what other choices are available. What possibilities are available that I've not yet asked for. And everything that is right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And then I want you to do a 13. And let's do a 13 together now. And a 13 is about changing tracks. So we want to change tracks from everywhere that you've been functioning from into something different, okay? So on 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 13, and 13, and 13, and 13, 13, and 13. Okay, so for 7 days, if you choose, write down those 5 to 10, 100 things if you have them, everything you've decided that you cannot have, that you've already concluded, POC and POD everything you were yesterday, POC and POD everything about this list, and ask what other possibilities available that you've not yet asked for, you've not yet instituted, and do a 13 and see if something starts to change. And then just go about your day. Because the thing is, we make our reality that is filled with conclusions and limitations and answer and the trauma and the drama and everything. Oh my God, the victim, you know, we make all of that our reality. What if, just what if, play with this with me for a moment, if you started choosing again, and what if your reality never actually existed? What if your reality never existed and you stopped putting so much energy into creating a limited reality? And what if your reality never existed and all you had was choice and possibilities? And what would you choose? Because this is your life, guys. This is it. This is not a test run. It's not a dry run. It's like, this is it. So what you've created so far is what you have chosen to create. Nobody created that for you. You did it. So if you've got some problems that you think are, you know, you're blaming somebody else, not their fault. You created it. You created your life as it is today. All the crap, you created all the great stuff too, all of it. So now what would you like to create? What other choices are available? And would you be willing to give up all the complicated realities? You're not going to get paid for them unless you write a telenovela and you sell it. Then you might get paid for it. But is it really worth it? So all the complicated realities that you've created, will you now please give it up for infinite possibilities? And everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, so how many, is there anyone that has any questions? You guys are like vortexing already. What's going on?
Simone, one person had a question, Aline, about indulging. She's asking, what does it mean to indulge? Is there a pragmatical access tool?
Yeah, so no, it's the energy of indulging. So like the example I gave, if you want to move countries or something like that, or you want to move house. So today you go, let's do moving house, okay? So today you go, okay, so for today I'm moving houses. I'm moving in with somebody, or I'm moving to a different city. Okay, moving to a different city. So the whole day you go about your day, you're, you know, cooking your meals. It's like you're going to work, you're, you know, whatever you're doing. And that whole day you're being the energy of your moving house, your moving cities. Because there's different things that will show up, like the universe will open doors for you, or like these little whispers, and show you a different, you know, what will that create? Because otherwise we go, oh, should I move houses? You know, if I did, then I'm going to do this, and then this is going to happen, or I won't be living next door to this person, or this is going to happen. You know, we work it out rather than the energy of indulging will give you more clarity about the energy of what it will create. And then the next day, and like I said, if you've got time to do it, and do 3 days of you indulge in moving houses, moving cities, whatever it is for you. And then the next 3 days, indulge in not doing it. So you're not going to move houses, you're not going to move cities, and indulge in that. And you just go about your day. And at the end of those 6 days, you'll have more clarity about what your choice will create without going to the conclusion, because you actually start living and being the energy of it. So like for Brendan, when he was like, okay, so it's a no-brainer. It's like his life, or our lives, grew and expanded and had way more available if we actually chose to live in a house together. So it was like, okay, let's do it. So we did it. And it's like, and now, I mean, you know, now we've broken up the relationship, but we had 8 years of living in this house and creating more than most people I know would even choose in a lifetime. So then now you go, okay, so now what? Now what other choices are available? It could be getting a job. It's like you indulge in the energy. Okay, I'm going to say yes to this job. So for one day, indulge in that. And the next day, indulge in you're not taking the job. And like I said, the universe is amazing and keeps showing you things that might, you know, present you with a different possibility. So it's just a tool. And a tool for if you're also a head tripper, like you're one of those people that has to work it all out and, you know, has to go away and think about it, etc. So it's a great tool to get out of your own way, basically. So is there any other questions? I can't see the chat in my thing. Oh, there it is.
So far.
Oh, but they're all in mainly in Espanol. Okay, so what else would you guys like to know about choice? What else would you like to know about choice? So I'm going to find a process that I have on.
Simone, this is Sylvia.
Yes.
Could you talk also about the choice of no choice? Like there seems to be an energy sometimes where like there's like, it seems like there's no choice, but how that's a choice as well. Does that make sense? Or
sort of, but I can tell you like some of the things that, like say for relationship, for example, for many, many years, I was like, I don't do relationship. I couldn't see a good one. So why would I choose one? Was my point of view. So I don't do relationship, but in that I was creating a no choice universe, because I'm creating a no choice universe of I've just eliminated a possibility. So it's sort of like, I mean, I give the example of if you're a vegetarian and you say, I don't eat meat, you're functioning from a no choice universe. Now, I'm not saying you all have to go out and eat meat, but if you, every day you woke up and said, I prefer not to eat meat. I mean, I was a vegetarian for 8 years. And then one day I went, I really want to eat meat. So I ate a steak. And ever since then I've eaten steak, you know. So I had it as a choice in my world. I always said that if I was being vegetarian, that I would always eat meat if my body chose to eat meat. So I did. So I realized that with relationship, I was living in a no choice universe. So then I pocked and potted everything that was and went, oh, I've got to be willing for something different to show up. I've got to be willing for a different possibility to show up, rather than already concluding that there's nothing good out there, there's nothing great out there, so I won't even bother. So how many of you are creating no choice universes so that you never, ever have to receive possibilities? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And how many of those no choice universes are even yours? Or have you bought them from somebody else? So all the realities and all the no choice universes that you've, bought from somebody else, thinking that, what they're doing must be working, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Rather than what if you actually asked questions about what could you be different? So what energy space and consciousness can you and your body be that would allow you to be the difference that you truly be? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. I mean, how many of you don't actually desire to choose something different because you don't want to appear different, yet being different? Yeah, everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Does that help, Sylvia? Is that sort of what you're talking about?
Oh my goodness, totally.
Cool.
Yep, thank
awesome.
you.
How does it get any better than this? Thank you. So what other questions do you guys have?
There's a question here from Susanna, and she says, I would like to know, how come I think I'm choosing, but it's not happening, or I'm not able to do what it takes to do it?
So you've got to practice, okay? It's like we've never been told we have choice. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but at school, I was taught I had to get the right answer. I was not, you're not supposed to ask questions. It was like, here you go, here's the information, go away and create that. But it was do it like somebody else did it. It was never about, what do you know? What are you aware of? We were never, ever, ever empowered to be us. And every single one of you is completely different. And I'm not sure if you know, but Gary and Dane have a class coming up. I think it's in July, and it's live streamed, and it's called Family. And I know that this won't translate as well, but if each letter in the word family, Dane came up with the acronym is fucked up and mainly interested in limiting you. Now, I know a lot of people might have an okay family, their family might be good, but there's not many of them out there. And so many people I know, they were never empowered to be all of them. I know in my family, I didn't grow up with my family saying, Simone, what do you want to be? Go out and be everything that you can be. Create your reality. It's like, don't worry about anyone else. It was like, how do you conform? It's like, how do you conform? How do you create your reality based on what everybody else is choosing? So you got to practice, because you were never, ever taught to choose. And have you ever been empowered to choose? And everywhere that you've decided that choosing is choosing against someone or something, it's not. That's what a 14-year-old teenager does. They go, I'm choosing for me, which means I'm choosing against my parents. Yep. How many of we did that? And everything at that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. So practice with 10-second increments. And I know it's not the easiest thing, because you get, distracted. So I used to set an alarm. I did it for 3 days, and I set an alarm on my phone that went off like every hour while I was awake, just saying IPOV. Interesting point of view. Oh, sorry, not interesting point of view. Well, I have done that with that one, 10-second increments. So because I would wake up and go, okay, I'm going to practice 10-second increments. And you'd literally be like, okay, what am I going to do this 10 seconds? Get out of bed. Masturbate. Get out of bed. Choice. You have choice. So, and then how many of you go and do the same thing every morning? Like it might be like, oh, I have a cup of coffee. So you go to make the coffee, but instead of just making the coffee, because that's what you've already decided that you and your body desire first thing in the morning, ask, okay, so body, what would you like this morning? It might like tea. It might like a glass of water. It's like, it might like a glass of milk, anything. It's like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How many times do you eat the meals because you've been taught breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Rather than if you spend 3 days choosing, okay, body, show me when you would like to eat and what would you like to drink? I mean, I know my body loves liquids. Like quite often I can have 3 different liquids in front of me. I've got, a water and, a coffee, a glass of wine or something. It's like, I love the liquids. So if you choose in 10-second increments and don't choose because you've decided that that's the right choice, So the next 10 seconds, you go to work. Okay, how do you always get to work? Is it the same way? All right, what other way could I go? Is there another way I would like to choose? Maybe not. But if you keep choosing in 10-second increments, then you'll find out what it's like to choose. I mean, even going to if you have a backyard or go outside and practice, like walk over to a flower. Okay, oh, I'm going to check this flower out. Okay, this 10 seconds, I'm going to smell the flower. Next 10 seconds, I'm going to feel the petals of the flower. Okay, next 10 seconds, I might phone someone. Next 10 seconds, you can even call the number and then get there and then just go, nah, and hang up. It's like, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? Oh, I might have, I don't know, Thai food. Next 10 seconds. You know what? Don't feel like that anymore. It's like, I'm going to have something different. It's like you're allowed to change your choices. And if you choose in 10-second increments, it's not about getting it right. I mean, how many times have you all, ended up in bed with someone and then gone, oh, wow, that wasn't the brightest choice. Next 10 seconds, what are you going to choose? Some of you may have married them. I'm not sure. You may have. But it's like you're allowed to choose in another 10 seconds. You don't have to get it right. So everywhere that you've decided you have to get choosing right, where you destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. Did someone have a question there?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions. Vivian is asking, how can I choose to create a sustainable future? When I ask that question, I go fully blank.
Okay, so then my question would be what have you decided is a sustainable future? What have you concluded is a sustainable future? And what if it wasn't a sustainable future we were asking for? What if we were asking for a greater future? Because if you look at the word sustainable, so many people have defined what that is. What if we asked for a greater possibility as our future? And everything it doesn't allow us to perceive, know, be, and receive what choices we can make today to create a greater possibility for our future where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And I can see too, somebody's asking, how can we help a country like Venezuela choose a better reality? Well, be you, create more consciousness on the planet, and you can do some 13s. So if we do, let's tap into who have we got in here now? We've got people from Venezuela, we've got people from Colombia, which I'm so excited about coming to Bogota, Colombia, by the way. There's these places in the world that ping you. Like when I was young, New York and LA were the two places that just went ping, gotta go. And then London. And I was like, okay, so who or what have I been there before? Because you have an awareness of different places. And for me, Colombia, it just makes me smile. So I'm very excited about going, and I'm wondering who or what was I in Colombia, because I feel like there's a bit of like going home energy. I should be able to speak Spanish, but I don't. I apologize. But it's got this like adventurous, like yay energy to it. So I'm super excited about coming. So we've got Venezuela, we've got Colombia. Where else we got? I think we've got Brazil on here too.
Brazil, Uruguay said hello earlier.
Do you say Uruguay? We would say Uruguay.
Uruguay, okay. I was trying to pronounce it.
Argentina. Okay, so Guatemala. Okay, Mexico, Chile. Okay, so
Peru.
So let's tap into all of South America. Wow, we've got some great. That's so cool. Panama. So let's tap into the energy of all of South America. Now, the thing is, when you do a 13 to change tracks, this is not about an El Salvador. I feel like I'm like, hello, Peru. It's not about going, okay, now we're going to make it better. If you do a 13 to change tracks, it's literally like, you've got a train coming along, pull the lever, and it goes over to the next track. So to me, what I see gets created is this place of everything you've defined something as must change, so then you're not functioning from the limitations or the conclusions of what you've decided is, and you change tracks. So you literally allow more possibilities to show up, because all of your conclusions do not allow more choices. Okay, so let's tap into all of these countries, even Portugal and Ecuador and Let's tap into all of these countries and all of South America, and let's do a 13 to change tracks so that we can actually have more possibility and more choice available. With consciousness attached, whatever that looks like, and you cannot be vested in the outcome, okay? On 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. And a nice slow, like really 13. And one more, 13. Everything at that is right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. So then someone says, I'm having difficulty to bring more people to my bars class. Can you tell me what I'm choosing that is not making me having more people into my classes? Well, how many conclusions have you gone to about, you know, that the amount of people you have in your class calibrates your success? You know, there was the class that I went to originally with Access, there was one person who showed up and it was me. And the guy did the class, and if he had cancelled that class, I may not have come along. And I've been a huge contribution to Access and consciousness on the planet. So what if it wasn't about the numbers? What if it was about the change that you could create? Because you never know. It's like you may do a class with 2 people and one of those people becomes the greatest connector. But if you've already decided and concluded that it must be about how many people, like how many bums on seats you get, then you've already decided that you failed, and you will not gift consciousness and the choice to choose and change to the people that have already signed up to your class. So everything at that is times a Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. And someone wrote in there, interesting point of view, which is great tool. Interesting point of view. Have this point of view. Everything at that is right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And also get the energy of all the classes around the world and ask that energy to contribute, those molecules to contribute to your classes. And let's run this process. What energy, space and consciousness can we be that would allow all Access consciousness classes to expand exponentially? And everything at that is times a Godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And if we can get this process out there, would be amazing. And especially if you're a facilitator, run it. What energy, space and consciousness can we be that would allow all Access consciousness classes to expand exponentially? And everything at that is right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Because the thing is, if you're asking for all Access consciousness classes, then you're contributing to all of consciousness on planet Earth, and you're not sort of like laser focusing it just on your class. And you'll be amazed at how people show up, where they show up from, when they show up. So, but if you've come to a conclusion that it has to look a certain way, then you will not allow the universe to contribute. So you can demand of you and request of the universe to create a different reality with your classes. And everything at that is times a Godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, so we've probably got time left for another 1 or 2 questions, if anyone has any.
I think Maria Inez has her hand raised. Maria, if you want to unmute yourself. If I can find her.
Maria. Wherefore art thou?
We can't hear you, Maria.
So we can't hear her, but she could type a question if she wants to.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyone else got a question? So hopefully you guys have got a lot out of today with that you have infinite choice, okay? Please get that. It's like, you know, wherever you gave up choosing, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. And, you know, I don't know if you have the saying in your country or your language where the world is your oyster. It's like the world is your oyster. You can actually ask for anything. You can ask for everything. One of my favorite stories is of, what's that guy's name? Just forgotten his name. He's the dog whisperer from Mexico. Anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Cesar Chavez? No,
Cesar,
not Cesar.
yeah.
Cesar Milan. Cesar Milan. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So Cesar Milan is worldwide known, like, I mean, wealthy, successful, you know, doing what he loves. But do you know, he came from Mexico, and he was, you know, what they call a wetback. So he swam from Mexico to America to create a new life. Now, how many people would go into the point of view of like, oh, well, they're only going to have a limited amount of things possible? And he's like this worldwide known dog whisperer with like TV shows translated into many different languages. So what excuse and justification are you using for not creating the life you could be choosing? It's time to do it, guys. Everything that is time to step it up. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and parona, in shorts, boys and beyonds. It's like, let's do this. It's like, let's stop playing small. Someone said, everything is possible, including you going back to Australia. Don't go back anywhere. Never go back anywhere. Always move forward. And it's like, what can you move forward with today rather than going back? And how can you choose to change a toxic friendship? Just choose. It's like, you know what? If it's not working, be like, you know what? I'm sorry, but you don't get to judge me. You know what? Goodbye. Just because you have, you know, a toxic relationship doesn't mean you have to stay in it. And you know what? Brendan and I are starting the Relationship Done Different class on the 18th of April, and it's live streamed. So you can jump on that if you want. There's even just the evening class. I'm sure we can talk someone into translating it. The evening class on the 18th, or Brendan will be in Los Angeles too on the 15th of May. And then following, I think it's April, May. Is it the beginning of June? He's doing the Relationship Done Different class there too. So, but we'll send out a few of these things that we've got going on. And of course, I've got the Choice of Possibilities in Bogota, so we can get down and dirty and talk about whatever it is you desire. We get a manual, and what I would ask is, if you come along, let's fucking change some shit. Like, let's choose something different, because you have the choice to choose something different. It's up to you. So whatever excuse and justification you're using for not choosing something greater, please destroy and uncreate it today, right now, this minute, not tomorrow, now. And everything that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and parona, shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. So thank you so much. And thank you, translators. You guys are amazing. I'm always so impressed with you. And thank you, you know, all of my Dazzle and the hosts for Bogota. Thank you. I so look forward to coming there. I'm like I said, truly can't hide my excitement about being in Bogota. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I will hopefully see you somewhere in the world. Come say hello if I'm somewhere. Okay?
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Simone.
everyone. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Adios.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Hasta pronto.
Thank you, everyone, for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.